because back in the day they mostly used round logs for the log cabins and log houses, and then hewed logs came later on. So this purpose, what you do see here, is mostly can be done. The best would be when you use the log so it's round. So what you can see here, so the weakest spot for the tree against rot resistance, against durability, is the sapwood. So the sapwood is the outer core, the white stuff on the outside, and the inner core, which is more dark, is a heartwood, and the heartwood is free of nutrition. So all the living processes, all the transportation of nutrients happening into the sapwood. And here you can see basically three types of the sapwood injury. So for injuring this kind of trees, you start with four sides, north, east, south, west, and you start by opening up a 3-inch wide, about 3-inch wide stripes all the way up. In this case, we would need to peel it, get the ladders and get all the way up to this is a nice straight log, so if we would like to use it for a log house, we would go all the way up where the big branches start. So, and then back in the day, they would not use any part where the big branches start for the construction. This would be all firewood, and then only the base first 1 or 2 logs, depending on the length, would be used for the construction or for the log house. So let's say if you want to build a log cabin, you need 10 logs per wall. So you have 4 walls, you would need about 40 logs for the walls, plus a little bit more for the gables. And then for the gables, you can have for sure shorter pieces from the top. So you would need about, if you can have smaller cabin, you can get 2 logs from 1 tree. Bigger cabin, then you would need about 40 trees. So you can injure them, and then during 4-year process, you can make them durable. And then so you can see here the cross section. Like this part right there is injured like a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago. This part is injured here where it's still light. It's injured this spring, and you can see, if I would now take a knife and then peel off, you see it's all filled with the resin. So you see this tree it's called a fatwood, and then this is highly flammable, and it smells gorgeously. So this right there is full of pine resin. The pine healed itself and it stopped growing here. So it's no longer growing right there. If we would leave this pine standing and would come some years later, you would see only this part would continue grow bigger and bigger. On everything here, the pine sealed itself and it stopped growing. So no longer here, only the heartwood is growing bigger and bigger. So each year we will stay it here, the heartwood will become bigger and bigger. So if we would come back maybe a couple of years later, we would see that there is no growth on these ones. So you can see that this is also nicely highly flammable. Nice fire starter as well. And yeah, you see, it's full like of pine resin. It smells also like a frankincense. Yeah, so this process takes about 4 years, 3-4 years, until you completely skin the pine tree naked. And then on the last year, the pine tree will start to die slowly already, because it cannot longer live. And you would leave on the first like a year standing it only on the last year standing only on one stripe. And then would you come on the last year in the spring. So the best time when you do this injury is when the sap circulation is at its highest. So it has most of and you can see here what's happening. This white stuff right there, this one I injured with the previous class. These are sugars. These white crystallic things are sugars. This is not sap. And this one right there, oh, this is a sap right there, which is coming here, already infilling. So what it does, it pushes out the sugars from these injured spots and then infills all the pores where the sugars were with this pine resin to heal it. And what it does, it closes the pores. So this thing has closed pore system. It doesn't, if the rain would come, it will not get wet. So it's closed pore system, and the longer time it will take the years will come, this will petrify and become like a stone. So basically you can create a tree that when older it gets, the harder it gets. So it will turn completely the pine into the really hardwood, let's say, you know, amber is a pine resin that's been in the seawater washed for many years and then turned into the stone. So the same happens with the tree. I was working in Norway on 1600 log house, and when we were cutting it with the chainsaw, there was sparkles coming out. It was so hard. It's almost like shaping stone. Yeah, so this was a technique they used in the Viking times as well. So it follows like you start with 4 stripes on 4 sides. You go as high as you can. You can make a longer. There's a special like a draw knife that's on a stick, like a blade, like a peeling knife. And then for sure you can put the ladders and climb up higher. And then you every year, every spring, it's when the pines start to grow these. How do you call it? These small sprouts on the ends of the pine trees. Usually here it's end of May, beginning of June. Like mid of May, beginning of June is the best time when to do this scraping of the wood. But you need to get rid of the cambium. So you need to get down to this white stuff. You see now, if I would go under this brown stuff right there, under the brown stuff there is this layer. This is a cambium. You need to get rid of this completely. You see, like there, you can see also the cross section, for an instance, like there. You see the tree starts already here to infill it, but where it wasn't injured, it's still green and white. So it still continues to grow here. This is how the trees grow their earrings, and this cambium layer then afterwards transforms into the outer layer of wood, and then this is how the growth happens. And the tree has a circulating water pump in it, so it goes in a spiral up and in a spiral down. It brings many tons of water every day through the root up to the treetop. And yeah, so and then you just so first year 4 stripes, second year you go on both sides opening it more, third year more, and on a 4th year you would leave it standing just on one long stripe, and this would you remove at the spring of the 4th year, and then you would fell it down in the winter in the old moon, just before the new moon starts. This is the last days of the old moon, so when the moon is almost not visible in the sky. So every month you have like maybe 3-4 days when you can cut the trees. So what I did back in the day, they just fell the trees. So the best way would to do just to fell the tree in this phase of the month and leave it with the limbs on. So what will happen, the limbs will bring out all the moisture from the tree, and ideally if we would need to fell it, we would like to fell it down the slope and then cut off the not cut off the limbs, but just cut off the treetop. So it's like when you cut off the finger, your blood will flow out. The same for the tree. You fell it down on the slope and cut off the treetop, and all the water and everything would go out through this treetop, and it will be already consistency of less water than if you just would fell it. Yes. So in the old days, it was common practice to follow the moon. Doing everything, the harvest, the trees, preparing in a forest, everything was based with a connection to the moon. So there is a scientific proof that it's a big difference. And the worst time when you can fell the tree is in this early spring, when it's full of sap, or in the middle of summer, when everything is wet and green. So basically here you have only 3 months, January, December and February. And in every month you have maybe 3-4 days when you can go in the forest and cut the trees. But then afterwards, in the springtime, before you take them out, then you come and cut off the limbs, and then take it out and start using it. Yeah. So, and if you would like to build a log cabin, then you only injure 2 sides of the trees. And because if you want to make a log cabin with the flat sides like we were working on, that doesn't make sense to injure all 4 sides, because you will mill this side off. So you would only injure it from 2 sides, and this would be like a 2-year process. This doesn't work on spruce. It works on larch. I'm not sure about Doug fir. I don't have Doug fir here growing, but I can talk only about pine. And in Norway, the eldest log house still standing is from 953, and all the stave churches are about more than 1,000 years old as well. So I think this is quite a good proof that if you are a bit careful and understand the nature and pay the respect to it, you can make a durable, very durable log or timber that can last for thousands of years. But the difference between nowadays and then, because we look at the tree, fucked up society, as a resource only, on the nature as a resource, as a carrots growing. We need to replant and make monocultures, and then we need to maintain the forest. The forest doesn't need any maintenance. It grows itself, it seeds itself, the bird seeds it. And the best way to do it is just do selective cut. You take out a couple trees and you still leave the space for the other younger trees to grow. And then for the pine, it's the best 120 to 180 years old when it's nice and mature. For sure, you can take also younger pine trees down, but yeah, so it's just understanding and being a part of the nature. And there's an old saying that the carpenter is a person that transforms the nature into the culture. So now we have a tree here growing, and we take it down, bring it, I don't know, make a stave church, and then it stays as a part of the culture, and it's there in it, or we build a frame or a log house. We leave this, we take the transformation process, we transform it into the piece in a building, and then it's a part of the culture. Yeah, so understanding the full cycle of it, and then how it works. Here you can see another pine tree that is completely skinned.